Hello, in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this mermaid skirt. Okay, it's actually a dress. The upper part of this dress is going to come up after this tutorial. So for this particular tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the skirt part of it. Okay, so I have my pattern paper here. I'm placing my tape at the starting point of it. That point is going to serve as my waist point. Okay, so with my tape there, I'm going to mark my hip point. So from the waist point, I'll come down by 8.5 inches to serve as my hip point. So I'm going to mark 8.5 inches there. Then I'm also going to come down to mark my knee point, which is 20 inches. I'll go ahead and rule a straight line across the points. The next thing I'm going to do is to take my round waist measurement, which is 33 inches. I'm going to divide it by 4. That is 8.25. I'll mark it right there. Then I'll come down to my hip point, divide my hip measurement of 42 inches by 4. That is 10.5. I'll mark it at that point. Then for my round knee, I'm going to minus 2.5 inches from my hip measurement. So I'm going to mark 8 inches right there at my knee point. Okay, it depends on how fitted you want it to be at your knee. You can minus 1.5, 2 inches, even 3 inches. It depends on the kind of fitting you want around your knee. I'll go ahead and connect my dots from the waist to the hip, and then at the knee point I'm going to come up by 3 inches. You can come up by 2 inches. I don't want the fitting to start exactly at the knee. It creates certain kind of unease. I prefer my fitting starting like 3 inches above my exact knee point. So I've gone ahead to mark 3 inches above my actual knee point. So I'll go on and label it. I have the new knee point right there, my hip point and my waist point. So the measurement I got at the first knee point, I'll bring it right up to the new knee point, which is 8 inches. And then at that point, I'll come down by ½ inch and go up by ½ inch. This is to create that curve around that point to avoid any form of sharp edges. So just watch how I'll be going about it. You understand why I created those lines. The next thing I'm going to do is to mark the extension for my E-line, my mermaid skirt, how wide you want it to be. It's going to be determined at this point. I'll be adding 8 inches to my hip measurement of 10.5. You can add 6 or 7 inches to your hip measurement. You can also use 9 or 10. It depends on the quantity of fabric you have. I use 3 yards of fabric to achieve this mermaid dress. So work with your fabric. I'll go ahead and mark out 18.5 inches at the hem of my skirt. And I'll go on and rule a straight line from the knee point down to the hem of the skirt, to the 18.5 inches point at the hem of my mermaid skirt. So we are basically done with the front part of the skirt. I'll go on and connect it at that point as well to give me that curve. I'll also blend in my hip point. Then I'll go ahead and add my sewing allowance. Okay, I'll be using 1.5 inches. So I'll mark 1.5 inches at the waistline at my hip point, and then at the knee point I'll be using 1/2 inch. So I'll mark that 1/2 inch from the knee point all the way to the edge. I'll go on and connect the dots. And also, if you notice, I didn't add that to this skirt. It's actually a dartless skirt. If you want to attach that to your skirt, the only thing you need to do is just to take your nipple measurements from one nipple to another nipple and just mark it at the waist point. Okay, if it's 8 inches, divided by 2 and mark 4 inches at your waist point to create your dart. I'll blend that hip point in. And also blend it at the knee point as well. I'll go on and cut it out. Now at the hem of my skirt, at that edge there, I'll come up by 1.5 inches. This is to avoid that sharpness at that edge there. I'll give it a smooth curve, blending it into the rest part of the hem. This will give your skirt a better look. Also, if this is a skirt you're creating, remember I'm attaching mine to a dress. If this is a skirt on its own, okay, like I'm explaining here, if you want that, you go ahead and attach your darts. And also, if this is a skirt, you want to come down at that waist point by like 1/2 inch. I'll just show you how to go about it. At the waist point, you just come down this way by 1/2 inch. Alright, and you go on and blend it into the line. You blend it in like this. This will help your skirt to relax better around your waist. Okay, so that's basically it. We'll go ahead and place this pattern, this front pattern, on another pattern paper to create the back part of our mermaid skirt. Alright, so I have my pattern paper here. I have to spread it on the floor to give us a better view. The table won't do justice, so I have to use the floor. So I'm placing the front part of my skirt, alright, at this on the new pattern paper. Is very wide. I had to join to get this length and wideness. So I'm placing my front pattern paper on my new pattern paper. You know, the back is where the actual mermaid effect is created, so you need enough space. Now this is the sides is going to be the same. The sides, okay, of the front and that of the back will be the same. The alterations we are going to be doing will be at the middle of our back skirt. That's part where you attach your zipper. Okay, so for the length of my tail, I want my tail to be 15 inches long. You can use 20, you can use 25, 30. You can even use 10. It depends on the quantity of fabric you have. So you can see what I achieved using 15 inches. And also I'll be extending the hem of my back skirt by 10 inches. The hem of the back is going to be longer than the hem of the front. We are going to blend it in at the side and create that length there as well. So I'm marking my 15 inches at that point, and I'm adjusting my front pattern to the 15 inches point. So I'll go over to my waist side and mark my zipper allowance. I'm using 1 inch at the waist. You can use 1.5, while at the hip I'm using 2 inches. At my knee point, I'm going to be coming up by 1.5 inches. You can use 2 to 3 inches. That's the tail is not going to start exactly at the knee point. So I'm coming up by 1.5. My tail is going to start from that 1.5 inches I just came up by. And then I'm going to come out by half an inch at that 1.5 inches point as well. Okay, so the video on the screen is showing you what I mean by my tail going up a bit above the knee. You can see how it went up a bit above the knee point, okay, to give me that effect that I want. You can still go higher than that. So the next thing, I'm going to connect from that 1.5 inches, extending it all the way to the hem of my skirt. Now I'll also go up by 1.5 inches at the edge of my skirt, okay, to avoid that sharp edge. And also from the side of the skirt, I'm going to blend it into the edge of the tail. So try to create a very smooth blend there, blending the front and the back sides together. and I'm bringing it in, creating that curve into the side of the tail. You can see how our basket is already beginning to look like fishtail. So this is the mermaid effect. This is what gives our skirt that mermaid effect. You can see how it's looking. So the next thing is to go ahead and cut it out. Also remember that at the hem part, I came down by 10 inches. You can use 8 inches, 7 inches. But if you want to achieve the exact result I did, you can just go on and use the measurements I worked with in this video. It's going to give you that effect, just like what I had at the end of my work. After cutting out my skirt, the next thing I'll be doing is to place it on my fabric, and I will show you how to go about the cutting. For those of us who are not familiar with it, watch to that point so you see how I'm going to go about placing my patterns on my fabric to cut it out. So this is the back, this is how it's looking. Now I've placed my front pattern on my fabric. My fabric is on fold, and also the edge, the middle part there, that edge is also on fold. I'll go ahead and add my sewing allowance, my hemming allowance to the down part of my skirt, the hem of my skirt. I'm using 1 inch. 1 inch hemming allowance at the hem of my skirt, and also at the waist part I'll be using 1/2 inch sewing allowance, 1/2 inch sewing allowance at the waist. I'll go on and cut it out. Remember, we've already added allowance to the sides, so there's no need of adding allowance to the sides, but I didn't add to the down part and to the waist part while cutting on the pattern. That's why I'm adding it directly on the fabric. Now the next thing, I'm going to be placing the back part of my skirt, the back pattern, on the fabric and cut as well. You can see how the front is looking. So this is the back part of my skirt. I'm adding my sewing allowance to the waist, 1/2 inch, and also to the hem I'm going to be adding 1 inch to serve as my hemming allowance. After this, I'll go ahead and cut it out. You can see how I placed it on my fabric. I'm cutting out 2 pieces of this, so the fabric is on fold. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please subscribe, like, comment, and also share our videos. So I'm done cutting, and this is what the back is looking like. You can see the mermaid effects on the skirt already. So the next thing is to go ahead, stitch the zipper part, and also stitch the front and the back together. Thank you guys for staying tuned to this point. I'll be uploading the two bustier with strap next. So see you in my next video. Bye.